Sorry, I'm just marveling at the fact that I've got a bit of lens flare going on. Sure, where would you get it? JJ would be so proud. Speaking of camera work today, I've lost my tripod. So my left arm is serving as the tripod today. So please excuse the shakiness. Look, it's all very Alfonso Cuarón. It's all very Children of Men here today. As per usual, we are winging things. I've been gone and I'm back and nothing has changed. It's still very slapdash. So what you're getting today is a bit of a rambly vlog and a bit of an interview with Caitlin Moran. And I will get to that in a second and explain all of that. But in the meantime, since it's been a while, I sort of wanted to just say hi, hello, and check in and let you know what I've been up to, really. So since we last talked, what happened? I think it was around the book launch, wasn't it? The book has gone very well. Thank you again. I'm still flabbergasted by all the support. It's wonderful. I am having the best time. So it's been selling really well, getting lovely reviews. I've had all sorts of reviews from people I did not expect, including but not limited to Marion Keys. That one, I think I nearly actually dropped the phone for that one. That was madness. I'm over the moon with the response, and that's all been going really well. And then in the meantime, I have been, as I mentioned, it was optioned for a TV series, so I've been working on that script for the pilot script of the series, and I've got my first draft and I've gone back to Kitty with it and we've discussed it, and it is very much a first draft, so I've got to go away and kill a lot of darlings in order to get it into shape. But it's coming along and I'm enjoying the process, and it's such a strange thing to adapt a book to a series, let alone to adapt your own book to a series, which is actually something similar to what Caitlin Moran did, which kind of comes up in our interview a little bit later on. So that's been a really fun experience, really different. I've honestly been glad to have a project, obviously with lockdown and everything else going on. It's been nice to kind of be able to focus my attention on a thing. So I've been doing that, and also the next thing I'm about to throw myself into is the US edit, which I didn't even know was a thing. So as I mentioned, Dutton Books have bought the US rights to Out of Love, and they're like a subsidiary of Penguin Random House, in case you didn't know. And so I'm talking to them about what that release is going to look like, and it's looking like, I really am hesitant to give a specific date because everything's still obviously quite up in the air, but it's looking like, I think August next year we're gonna have the full proper US release. And in the meantime, I am learning that we're not just re-releasing the exact same book. There's actually going to be a bit of an edit on it, which at first was very scary for me. I might do a separate video on this, but it was quite scary to think like, oh my god, they want me to change the book. But it wasn't that at all. Actually, having spoken with them, I feel really good about it, and I'm seeing it as this as being in a very privileged position where I get to revisit something now that it's out in the world. Like, I suppose a lot of artists would kind of go back and change things if they could, and I'm getting the chance to do that. And I'll be clear, it's not that I'm changing anything necessarily, it's more that I think we're going to be adding a little bit. So there might be like extra chapters and extra stuff going in there, and there were like one or two really tiny things that I still wasn't 100% sure about when the book went to print. So I'm glad that I get to revisit that, and you know, maybe I won't make any changes, but to have the option is quite nice. What else? Have I any other news for you? Oh, we have mice. Huge news. I had a little visitor in this wardrobe, in fact in this very wardrobe the other night. He had managed to get himself trapped in there. He obviously went in, and then I closed the door, and then I went to bed, and he spent the entire night scratching and scraping. It honestly, at one point, it was so loud that I started to wonder, was it like a giant rat? Had somebody's pet cat or dog found their way into my wardrobe? Like, it was so loud. It sounded like a huge creature, all the noise he was making. And I didn't want to let it out because I was like, well, I'll get pest control in the morning and they'll know exactly where it is and they can deal with it. But at one point I went to the living room to try and sleep on the sofa, was just getting settled in when I heard another mouse in there. Then I started crying. Then I came back to my room. I think I tried to sleep with headphones on, but ultimately I was like, I can't do this. So I just, 5 o'clock in the morning came around and I was so exhausted that I just let this one out. And he went to live his life. I gave him his freedom. We haven't really seen them much since. I think, honestly, it's just been the heat wave. There's been a heat wave in London. If you're not in London, you may not be aware. If you are, then you know. It's been insanely hot, shocking hot weather altogether. It's actually reminded me an awful lot of Summer Skin, a chapter in Out of Love, which if you know, you know. It's just that kind of like oppressive city heat that's very different to anything I ever knew in Dublin. And being in an apartment particularly, and being in lockdown, it was all just, it was a lot. But yeah, so I think the mice come out with the heat, but no sight nor sound of them since then, so fingers crossed that they're gone. So that's it. Those are the 3 big updates from my life. Just the TV series, the US book deal, and the mice. So that is my big long rambly vlog done. And now let's get into the whole point of the video, which is the other thing that I've been doing. As you probably know, I've mentioned this before, is I've been hosting a show for Prime Video. It's called Prime Video Club, and it's hosted on the Prime Video UK YouTube channel. So that's actually kind of changed a little bit. In the past few episodes, the format's changed, so it's now like an interview format, which suits me down to the ground, because I've been getting to chat directly with people like I would have done with Tipsy Talks, which I haven't been able to do any of in so long. I miss them. So it's been really nice having this. And the first one was for Alex Rider, which is like an original Prime sort of spy show based on the Alex Rider books, which you may know. And yeah, really liked the series, and the video was so much fun. The interview was really, really fun to make. So that was kind of my first launch right back into interview mode. Then the next one I had was with Lola Pettigrew and Fionn O'Shea. Fionn you might know from Normal People. He plays Marianne's really horrible, toxic boyfriend, the guy who, like, I don't want to give away any spoilers actually, he's just not very nice. But plays him so well, in fact, that when I interviewed him, and actually subsequently I went to meet up with them after the interview, because we just sort of hit it off. Look, Irish people just become friends because they're Irish, that's it. And they're heading off now. They've just gone back to Ireland to go into isolation to film another project together. So they're not coming out again. They're not being released until October. So they were in London briefly, and yeah, decided to see each other after meeting on the interview. We ended up like texting or whatever, and they're so lovely. The point being that Fionn plays that character in Normal People so well that when I was interviewing him and when I met him, like I was getting that vibe, like that thing in my chest going, this guy's not nice. Like, get out of this situation. It was like my defense mechanism was trying to kick in, being like, no, he doesn't give you good vibes. And I was like, no, it's just from the TV, it's all good. But that's a testament to what an incredible actor he is. And I told him this actually when I saw him. I was like, it's the fact that I now associate your face with how I felt, like how uncomfortable I felt in that moment, you know, may not be conducive to a friendship, but definitely means you're an incredible actor, and he is. And I was about to call her Amber. Lola Pettigrew as well is an absolute gem. So they're both in this film together called Dating Amber, which is what I interviewed them for, which is an Irish film. It's based in Ireland, in Kildare, in the 90s. She plays a girl called Amber. It's called, hence Dating Amber, she's a young gay woman, he's a young gay guy, and they decide to basically like fake a relationship, to pretend to be dating, so that the bullies at school leave them alone. And it's such a lovely little film. It's directed by David Frayne. It's got a wonderful cast, including Sharon Horgan. It really is so lovely. And when I say a lovely little film, I truly am not trying to be patronizing at all. It's like, it's an independent indie independent. It's getting to that time of the day, lads. Yeah, like, it's a small indie film with a small budget and a small crew, and you can tell that a lot of it was just made like with love. It's not big, it's not flashy, but it's such a sweet story, and there's so much love gone into it and so much heart. You can just kind of feel it. But it's really funny. It's like laugh out loud funny, but also some really poignant, touching moments as well. And Lola is beautiful in it as Amber, so I would highly recommend that you give that a watch. It came out actually as well during Pride Month, which was just perfect, and I thought it was a lovely addition to the month. A lovely addition. I've gone very Irish today altogether. So yeah, check that out, and check out the interviews as well. So I will link to all three, the Alex Rider one, Dating Amber one, and the one I'm about to tell you about with Caitlin Moran. I'll link to them all in the description, so you can hop over and have a look. And yes, so this one that you're about to see is with Caitlin Moran for her film How to Build a Girl. Now, she wrote the book How to Build a Girl, which is a bestseller, wonderful book, and did very, very well, and then got a movie deal off the back of that. And lo and behold, the film got made with such an incredible cast. Beanie Feldstein is in it from Booksmart. You've got Alfie Allen, who plays Theon Greyjoy in Game of Thrones. We talk about the whole cast actually in the interview, but yeah, it's a star-studded cast, and written by Caitlin herself as well. She wrote the screenplay for it, and so we had a big chat for Prime Video Club, and what happened was we ended up, like, we just kind of hit it off. She's lovely. She's just, I could have talked to her all day. It's honestly one of the nicest interviews I've ever done, in terms of it was just easy, it was pleasant, it was so friendly, and she's so interesting, so eloquent. She talks about the film, she talks about the process and the writing process and her own personal experiences in such an open and honest and funny, very funny way, that we actually had such a laugh. I think we must have been talking for about, I think it was half an hour or 40 minutes in the end, but we've obviously cut it down. But yeah, we had a really, really good chat, and that all got put together as part of Prime Video Club. And if you head over there, you can watch the full video, which also includes like behind the scenes and a little visit from Beanie and Alfie and extras basically. But I was so happy with the interview itself that I asked if I could put it on my channel. That's, wow, I just said more words in the space of 20 minutes, brilliant, than I have in quite a long time. I'm not getting out much. Yeah, so that's everything going on with me. That's why I'm putting this video up here, and I'm just really hoping that you take a look at it and you enjoy it, and also have a look at the other videos in their entirety on the other channel, on Prime Video UK. Leave a little comment, tell them Hazel sent you. Give it a little like, subscribe if you want to get updates about any more. Hopefully we will be doing more. I would love to keep doing them because I'm really enjoying it, and like I said, it's sort of scratching the itch for me for getting to talk to people in the industry about all the wonderful things that they're making and starring in and whatever else. So yes, I will leave you with this then. Enjoy, and I hope you're all taking care of yourselves and doing well, and I will hopefully make another video again soon. When I say soon, 3 to 4 months. But yeah, in the meantime, take care. Welcome back to Prime Video Club with me, Hazel Hayes. Now, if you think you'd like a mix of movies, music, the Midlands, and an actress best known for her role in the brilliant Booksmart, then I think you will love How to Build a Girl. But now we have prolific writer and screenwriter Caitlin Moran.
Hello!
She's straight in. She's dancing her way into this show. Caitlin, I'm going to throw something at you straight away. 20-second synopsis of the film, please.
Johanna Morrigan is a fat, funny, clever, noble girl living on a council estate in Wolverhampton who sees her only way out to fame and fortune and having sex with a man who's got a car is to become a music journalist. But in order to be a music journalist, she needs to be evil. Will she stay evil, or will she have some kind of redemption? You get to find out.
That was incredible. I have to comment as well on the cast across the board between Beanie and Alfie Allen, Paddy Considine. You've got
Dame Emma Thompson in there, squeezed her in. There's Sharon Horgan. There's who am I
Got in there
missing?
Lucy Punch, Jamila Jamil, Lily Allen. With that, so that I got this conceit of the God wall, because I think when you meet any teenage girl, how you find out who she is you go in her bedroom and every girl has a wall that's covered with her heroes and the things she loves, and that's where she's assembling the blueprint of who she's going to be. That's how she's going to be an adult woman, by taking bits of all these things and turning it into herself. And so I was like, well, let's have all of my heroes, her heroes, on the God wall, and then let's cast them with my real life heroes now. So
her heroes are Sigmund Freud and Sylvia Plath, but then she finds rock and roll, and that's like this whole new sort of religion almost for her. But she almost turns away from her original heroes, but comes back and kind of amalgamates the two. So now she has this wonderful love of rock and roll, but she also has the original heroes that were there in literature and books that got her through the tough phases.
Two things, and I think we're often told you have to choose between one or the other, or like, you know, once you find rock and roll, you will recant literature, or if you start with rock and roll when you grow up and you're proper, that's when you'll discover books. And it's both, like, especially if you're a teenage girl, like, you know, so much 19th century literature is so much more relatable to me than most modern literature, because it's about poor girls who have no connections in the world. They're usually plain and ugly. They're written by women, and they, just by doing stuff and being useful and believing in themselves, they go out there and change their lives. They're Anne of Green Gables, they're the Brontes. So that was why that God wall's there. It's like you can have your heroes from everywhere all at the same time, and by taking these people and imagining what they'd say to you in moments of crisis, that's how you get through your early life.
So just for anybody who doesn't know, How to Build a Girl is a novel written by yourself, and now you have written the screenplay for the adaptation of the film How to Build a Girl. How does that feel, first and foremost?
It feels amazing. I had never written a script before, so most of writing the screenplay was trying to work out how the software worked, and then having to learn that when you're writing a novel or you're writing journalism, it's all about what you think and it's all about the words. But I learnt that actors do face acting with their faces, and sometimes you need to leave a little gap in the script so they can do face acting with their faces.
Great. Well, it's good to know. Good to hear it from the pros. So yes, you have been writing from a very, very young age, and our wonderful protagonist in the film, Johanna, is also a writer, and based on you, I believe. So take us through that process of kind of where it began to where it ended up.
So in the movie, I would say about 80% of it is stuff that happened to me, and 20% is just kind of going, oh, the story would be better if I do this. I mainly remember just laughing like a drain for about 90% of my childhood. So I was like, that's what I want to give people. I want people to laugh. Life is traumatic. Let's give you a laugh.
And that comes across, I think, like, the film is very funny, and there's some really, really funny moments as well. And you must have just had a blast working with Beanie on those scenes in particular.
Well, she gets to do everything in this film, and it was only when I finished writing the script that I realised that I'd written something that was almost borderline uncastable, because it has to be played by a big 16-year-old girl who goes from being a sort of innocent, cheerful, funny girl living in Wolverhampton, turns into this massive, flamboyant bitch in a top hat and a cane and a cape, and then has to sort of work out where her life has gone wrong and become a lovely person again. And how are you going to find someone who can play that? She's in every scene. It's a huge and chunky role to get your head around. Yeah. And in the end, it was the producer saw an early screening of Booksmart and just rang me and went, "We've found our Johanna. Like, Beanie Feldstein can do everything."
The role that music plays in the film, it's huge. It's as much a character as anybody else. She's obviously on the music scene. She has her musical awakening, I suppose.
And then from there, it just snowballs.
Totally. Well, that's what it's like when you're that age. I can remember when I discovered music at the age of 16, I was listening to John Peel's radio show late at night, and it was like someone had like opened a door in the middle of this boring grey street that I lived in and showed me this whole other world. It's like Narnia, rock Narnia. You're like, yeah, take me into this world where people sing these songs and people are up all night and screaming and shouting. And my favourite piece of music in the whole thing, because the love of Johanna's life is this rock star called John Kite, and he writes these beautiful singer-songwriterly songs. We had to get someone to write an original song for him. So I rang my friend Guy Garvey from Elbow and went, "Could you write a song for our movie?"
You just rang your friend Guy Garvey from Elbow. So just absolutely threw that in there.
just a little chat. And he sent over within 2 days this beautiful song which we get Alfie Allen to sing. And he's got such a beautiful voice.
I had no idea Theon Greyjoy could sing. Who knew? They should have introduced it in Game of Thrones.
But let's talk about all the things that are usually terrible about films that are set in the rock scene. So I have never yet seen a convincing rock star in a movie. And it's always the same guy. He's always wearing leather trousers, shades, Like, he's a bit hopeless and a bit messed up and like a bit stupid and stuff. And those weren't the rock stars that I was hanging out with when I was 16. These were all really beautiful working class boys who were like self-taught, who you'd sit in the pub with, and they treated me like a sister. Of what you presume if it was a story about a teenage girl going into the music industry, was that she'd be swept up in this horrible world of kind of rock star pigs being really abusive. And they're not. The rock stars were really sweet and kind and looked after me, and I wanted to put that in a movie.
I have to admit, I was watching it and thinking at points, is this okay? You know, she's 16, she's gone abroad, she's in a hotel room with some guy she doesn't know. And yeah, he's being lovely and he slept in the bath and let her have the bed. And I'm sure this absolutely happened. It's just, I think you're almost bracing for impact.
But right, so many people have said that. They're like, this is going to go wrong, isn't it? Like, something awful's happening. But like, isn't that so interesting? Like, we're so braced for awful things to happen to girls. And that was something that I really wanted to do in the movie, to just go, look, she gets into pickles and scrapes, but they're all her own problem, and she finds her way out of it. Like, she's not going to be victimised. Because we need to see girls who don't get traumatised. It's so important in movies.
Thank you so much. It's so nice. Yeah, it's something I've been seeing a lot of as well in the horror industry, is like a real push to create scripts and stories that in which a woman does not get in any way attacked or violently molested or abused, and it's actually quite hard to come by.
Like, why do we keep doing this to girls? Let's just have a girl in there who's funny and noble and silly, and like, you know, the worst thing she does is just turn into a bit of a bitch.
And it's refreshing as well that she's very sexually independent.
Well, the whole thing, it's like when we talk about and also when we depict sort of like young girls sort of like coming into their sexuality for the first time, it usually has to be that like she's taught what sex is by someone older, like the sex happens on her. And that's why it's really important for me that in the movie, before we ever see her get off with anybody, she's talking about masturbating. Like, kind of like, teenage girls know about their sexuality. They know where their genitals are. Like, they don't need to have it pointed out to them by some old guy. They're like sitting there going, I'm ready to take these things out on a journey. Like, kind of, let's go and be a lady sex pirate. Yeah.
And that scene is nice because her brother sort of interrupts, knocks at the door, and she's like, oh, I'm busy, you know, and you don't see that much. You get absolutely, I think you kind of turned a lot of tropes on their head.
So we started on this movie before Fleabag, you know, before Amy Schumer, before Girls, like kind of when no one was talking about female masturbation at all. And the way that I've always worked in everything that I do is I make a list of the things I haven't seen. Like that. And if anybody out there wants to be a writer or wants to be creative, I think we often think, oh, if I want to join that industry, I've got to make movies like that or TV shows like that or write something like that. And that stuff already exists. You're trying to push your way into a wall that's already been built. Turn to this side and go, what hasn't happened yet? What hasn't existed yet? What am I missing? What am I thirsting for? And it takes you a while to get your head into that. But once you start writing a list of all the things you haven't seen in a movie, suddenly you will spend your entire life trying to get halfway through that list. Like, women are underserved. We're working class people are underserved. People of colour are underserved. The LGBT community is underserved. And as soon as you start writing a list of what you haven't seen those people do, your work is endless.
So before we go, Caitlin, I would love for you to give viewers 3 quick reasons why they should watch How to Build a Girl.
1, you will get to see Alfie Allen making his singing debut with a beautiful song written by my close personal friend Guy Garvey. 2, you will see Beanie Feldstein, deathless star of Booksmart, wearing a bikini made of bin bags and styling out the greatest resignation speech in history. And 3, Dame Emma Thompson turns up at the end, basically playing God crossed with David Bowie, and saves the day. Why wouldn't you want to see that? You know you want to see that.
God crossed with David Bowie, it's the role she was made for, and you did it. She is gold. You are gold. This was so fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today, Caitlin. Honestly, this has been so much fun.
Joy to do, it really was. This is just, I could do this all day. This has been the most fun interview I have done in this promo cycle by a incredibly long chalk. So thank you for
that's so nice. And to everyone at home, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. I will be in the comments saying hello as well. This has been so much fun, so lovely.